In yesterday part, we arrived at Shiryun, who followed her firebird, which had disappeared, to Senior Chin's house. There she was weak with shock, because the aura in the courtyard was 10,000 times stronger than that of the immortal emperor, said Shiryun. Until finally Chin came teleportation from the warrior kingdom, and Chen was also shocked when he saw Shiyun. How could this Shiyun suddenly be in front of his house? Because the location of the warrior kingdom was hundreds of kilometers away, Chin said. From his house, especially from there, of course, no cars or planes for she to go, while Chan was able to arrive quickly because he got teleportation assistance from his system. Chen was surprised. How could this Shiyun get to his house so quickly? Is it possible that her cultivation level was already very high and during the tournament just pretended to be weak in front of Chen, but before he could, Shiryun was already hugging Chen's legs and apologized for barging into his courtyard, and during the tournament earlier she also pretended to be good at Senior Chen. So after knowing that Chen was the owner of the house and the master who was feared by the creatures in the courtyard, Shiryun became frightened, so she then came to the same conclusion as Chen. She suspected that this senior must have hidden his true strength when competing in the tournament earlier, so that's why Shiryun then apologized to Chen for being good at it earlier. After that, came Boss Duan and Suling seemed to have just returned from the market to buy some fruits. They then acted as if Chen was in love with the woman at his feet, or Shiryun. They seemed to think that Chen and Shiyun were lovers who were in conflict or quarreling, so that Chen became panicked and spontaneously explained to the two of them, especially to Boss Duan, that everything it was simply a misunderstanding. But Shiryun, her mentality was still messed up after knowing the facts about who Chen really was. Here it became even more erratic, because she thought that she had ruined other people's households, because she thought the woman who was talking to Chen was Chen's wife and Suling was the child of the two of them, so she thought Chen was already married. If they were an ordinary family, that would be fine. But they were not ordinary people, so Shiryun's vision of the strength of this woman, or Boss Duan, could not imagine to what extent because of her strength, and she estimated that this Boss Duan could kill herself with just one blink, while this Suling also looks to be still in her 20s, but apparently her cultivation has already reached the immortal level. So because of that assumption, Shiryun became scared when Boss Duan and this Suling had a misunderstanding earlier, thought Shiryun was championing girlfriend. But Boss Duan also after that helped Shiryun to stand up kindly and a beautiful smile. But imagine Shiryun, who is confused because she thinks they misunderstood. She thinks maybe Boss Duan, and this is only good on the outside, but inside her heart, she has grudges against Shiryun for seizing that person's husband. So when Boss Duan offers, Shiryun had to stop by the house first. Shiryun, without saying anything, just shook her head, then just ran away because she was afraid. When Shiryun had run away, this was Chen apparently still trying to convince Boss Duan that it was all just a misunderstanding, and Boss Duan finally told Chen that when he was panicking, if they actually understood and didn't need to explain anymore, they were just kidding. It was from here that Chen realized, why did he bother to explain in detail to Boss Duan what happened when this Boss Duan was also nobody? Could it be that he started to fall in love with Boss Duan, or started to grow feelings? Thought Chen, but despite all that they finally calmed down because Boss Duan had also known Chen for quite a long time. Even now she lived in the same house. Here Boss Duan then told Chen to call each one with a relaxed call or a close call like that, because before they this uses a somewhat polite, so Boss Duan suggests that she will call Chen by name with Pinjin, then Chen will call Boss Duan with Shin Shin like Suling, which also calls sister Shin Shin. Just change the two of them to make it more relaxed. Chen agrees, calling Boss Duan by the name Shin Shin, so when Chen called Shin Shin for the first time, suddenly some of Chen's memories reappeared. Shown here a flashback like at Chen's wedding with a woman who looks like Boss Duan, who shown there is also like a knife figure and a peach tree coming also to the event. What's interesting is that they all wear modern suits and look like they are in the modern world or on Earth, but in a modern world, why are there kitchen knives and peach trees? Knives and peaches can exist in the modern world. It's all still a mystery, and the flashback scene is quite short. After that Chen regained consciousness, but then brought some of his past memories. So here Chen again remembers who he really is, and who this Duan boss is. Then after Chen realized and saw Boss Duan, at that time he spontaneously called Boss Duan by the name Zhang Yusin. Maybe this is Boss Duan's real name. What's interesting is calling her real name and realizing that Chen has regained his past memories. Boss Duan looked very surprised, then she flicked her finger, which then made time stop like when she killed the female immortal. Boss Duan then said to Chen, who was frozen, that she apologized because she didn't expect that just changing names could loosen Chen's memory seal. After that Boss Duan was seen resealing Chen's memory for the reason She said now it's not time for Chen to remember everything, and according to Chen plan, have to wait a little longer, until here the more complicated mysteries are presented to us regarding the timeline of Chen's reincarnation, but I will conclude a little with what has been shown so far, that it is confirmed that Chen and Boss Duan are husband and wife, and Chen photo with a woman in the previous chapter, maybe the woman is Duan Boss too. Then all this time all the flashbacks were shown in the modern world setting, not like the cultivation world they live in today in terms of clothes or the setting of the place, even kitchen knives and peach trees too, seen attending the wedding of Chen by wearing a suit that is quite modern. What we know in the modern world, there is no cultivation at all. Other artifacts, were they also reincarnated with Chen to Earth, were these knives, peaches, and other artifacts previously ordinary human friends of Chen? We will know the answer as the story. Returning to Chen after having his memory erased by Boss Duan earlier, he then realized that he didn't remember anything about his previous life, so Boss Duan had already sealed her again. At that time, Chen only remembered that the dog or Blackie was still left at the tournament venue, and he forgot to bring it home. That's all Chen remembered at that time. Boss Duan then appeared to Shiryun in his system form and compensated for not being able to give the Firebird back to Shiryun. Then moved to the immortal world to a sect called Yunji sect, or what we know is Shiryun sect. Seen an elder from Yunji sect named Judong Lai. He was angry when he found out that the Firebird had disappeared, and at that time what he was angry with was a woman named Zhong Linyi, who was also the master of Shiryun. Linyi at that time could only defend himself when the Firebird was already in the process of being searched by Shiryun, so she told elder that Shiryun had descended to the mortal world to look for the Firebird, and in the midst of the commotion then came Shiryun, who immediately embraced Dong Lai, because apparently this Dong Lai had been doing private practice for 10 years, so he had been isolated from the outside world for 10 years. After that, Dong Lai asked Shiryun about the missing Firebird, whether Shiryun had found the Firebird, but Shiryun answered that maybe she couldn't bring the Firebird back forever because something happened. Then told all the events of the disappearance of the Firebird from the beginning until she met a senior who, because of his strength, said Shiryun, senior was able to destroy the immortal world. Of course at the beginning they didn't believe Shiryun's words. They thought Shiryun was just looking for an excuse not to get scolded, but Shiryun later said that she had proof that she had been compensated by those seniors in exchange for the Firebird, and the compensation was heavenly technique or heavenly. Here, maybe you guys have forgotten, heavenly law is something given by Boss Duan to Immortal Emperor, who protested until finally Immortal Emperor regards Boss Duan as his master. Dong Lai explains here that the heavenly law is apparently a cultivation technique, so Dong Lai knew this heavenly law as a cultivation technique used by Immortal Emperor. So it was quite natural that they initially did not believe it because the technique was considered very valuable, because it was only mastered by Immortal Emperor. No one else could master the heavenly law, but after checking, Dong Lai apparently said that this technique was indeed the true heavenly law. They finally believed Shiryun's story and concluded that it was possible that the senior who gave the technique was not just anyone, and the loss of their Firebird might also have been planned by those seniors. So everything that happened was the plan of the seniors who met by Shiryun or Chen and Boss Duan. Shiryun then suggested that in order to strengthen their relationship with Senior Chen, they should also get closer to their friend, because when at the Warrior Kingdom tournament, Senior Chen saw close to the prince and some cultivators there. Coincidentally, the prince was also held a birthday party, so at that time Dong Lai also invited them to attend the prince's birthday. After that, back to the Warrior Kingdom, where Chen team was seen gathering, and it was quite complicated, discussing an object that Shuai brought, and it was true that he said it was a gift for the prince's birthday. Here, maybe you forgot, previously Part Chen was invited by the prince to come to the event his birthday, but at that time he couldn't come because the teleportation from the system was already running. Before he left at that time, Chan had promised the prince to send gifts to his. Long story short, Chen after that told Shuai to buy a present to give to the prince, and anything free is up to Shuai. Chen only gave Shuai 110,000 worth of money to buy the gift, and the remaining 10,000 to Shuai himself for reward. After that, Shuai searched every corner of the market and only found 2 stones that cost exactly 110,000. So of the many items that were there, only these 2 stones cost exactly 110,000, so Shuai thought maybe Senior Chan gave 110,000 to buy the 2 stones because of the price very fitting, so he thought Senior Chan had planned accordingly to buy the stone as a prince's birthday present. So in short, he bought the 2 stones, and the interesting thing is that the merchant selling the stone looks like this, and what we know is none other than this man with a mustache is a kitchen knife, so surely These stones are not random stones. So he showed the 2 stones that were suitable for buying earlier to his friends, but after hearing the story Shuai bought the stone, his friends actually suspected that Shuai maybe this misunderstood or misinterpreted Senior Chin Dan's words, and thought that this Shuai had even been tricked because they saw that after all the 2 stones were just like ordinary stones and had no spiritual power at all, but because they had already been bought, they had been given to the prince, maybe after giving it will be revealed what the 2 stones really are, because they can only trust Shuai and Senior Chen, especially since the stones have already been bought. Long story short, the prince's birthday event started. Shuai here was very scared because many famous people gave good gifts, for example like the minister giving a treasure sword or treasure, then the guild alchemist also gave magic plants, while Shuai brought stones, so that here Shuai started to falter mentally. Shuai and the prince eagerly expected Senior Chen deposit gift would be very surprising. Before Shuai has had time to give his gift, a dimensional portal appears in front of them all, and from the portal, Dong Lai, Shiryun and Ling Yin come out. Previously they were planning to attend the prince's birthday event as before, as explained earlier. Their motive was to get closer to Senior Chen through the prince, because Shiryun Senior Chen was familiar with those people. Seeing that 3 people came with an unusual aura, the aura of someone who was very strong, they were all very sure that these 3 people must be immortals who came from the immortal world, so the prince greeted the 3 of them with great respect for offending them or making them uncomfortable. Moreover, there was also Shiryun, who they knew as Chen's senior opponent in the previous tournament, so Shuai wondered if maybe they were planning to get revenge on Senior Chen, who defeated her in the tournament, but their vigilance immediately dropped when Dong Lai told the prince that they had only come to attend the prince's birthday, not meaning to do anything, and from there they thought for sure these people were Senior Chen's acquaintances. That's why they were very friendly to the creatures of the mortal world. Shiryun then asked of whether Chen Senior came or not, but even though Senior Chen didn't come, Dong Lai apparently still gave a gift to the prince named Talent Token, which he said was very rare even in the immortal world, so the token was connected to a mountain belonging to the Yunji sect in the immortal world. Then if someone touched the token continuously, that person's cultivation will rise continuously until he can become immortal, so the prince who is given the token can quickly become immortal without any problems. The prince also accepts the gift, and quite surprised too, because there is an artifact that can help someone become mortal quickly, so it's pretty worth it. After that, Shuai approached the prince and gave one of his large stones as a gift from Senior Chen, and he is here telling the truth that he himself does not know the function or efficacy of the stone. He has only given Senior Chen a hint, which in short the story ends in Shuai buying the rock, Shuai told Prince. After that, Dong Lai was initially surprised by the stone that Shuai brought, then smiled while saying it turns out that everything can be predicted by seniors. He said, seniors can even predict that he will go to the prince's birthday, said Dong Lai, because according to Dong Lai's explanation, the other stone that Shuai brought was a stone called a conversion stone, which was of medium quality, and the stone was apparently the material used to make talent tokens like the one that was gifted to the prince. So basically, if Dong Lai doesn't come to this event, surely no one knew the function of the stone, so making them conclude that everything that happened had indeed been planned by Senior from the beginning, from the tournament, then meeting Shiyun, then all the way to the birthday event had been planned by Senior Chen. Dong Lai then told the prince that the size of the stone, that big, seems to be able to make 3 more talent tokens, and according to Dong Lai, if he had planned to come to the event, then it meant that Senior Chen expected him to also make talent tokens with the stone material, but the problem was, this was still Dong Lai words, the problem was Dong Lai had already given talent token gifts to Prince, so that the prince already has talent tokens, then why make 3 more tokens, so they are confused about what the senior plan really is. The prince already had a talent token, but why did Senior Chen bring stones to make more tokens? So it seemed as if the stones were useless, but the prince after that thought hard trying to guess the purpose of Senior Chen giving stones to make 3 tokens. Then it occurred to him that maybe the 3 were given to Senior Chen's tournament team members besides Shuai, so that the prince is also close to Senior Chen's friends, while Shuai may have been given his own prize by Senior Chen. That was the prince's guess. So the prince after that said he would give his 3 tokens to the team members Chen besides Shuai, that is Shan Shan, Dague, Pan Heng, and forced the 3 of them to accept it, even though they didn't want to because it was Senior Chen plan, said the prince. Then the prince took Shuai to make sure again that Shuai was indeed given something by Senior Chen, because there were only 3 tokens, which meant Shuai didn't get it, so surely he had been given something by Senior Chen. Shuai also took out the other stone, which was small in size, which he bought together with the big stone because earlier, then said that the small stone was the reward from Senior Chen. Then Shuai asked maybe Don Lai this also knows what the function of the stone is, and here the situation becomes very interesting. After Don Lai sees the stone, he suddenly offers Shuai. Does Shuai want to be his student so just because he sees the stone? Suddenly Shuai is appointed a student by an immortal. Because in Don Lai's heart, he thought that this Shuai must not be just anyone, because only by being given a hint had he been able to follow Senior Chen's plans up until now. So he considered the Shuai to be very good and was smart for being able to follow all of Senior Chen's plans. Then the stone that Senior gave to Shuai was a very rare and powerful conversion stone, so if Senior gave such a precious stone to Shuai, surely the Shuai was Senior Chen's chosen person, not just anyone, and if related to the heavenly law they got before from Boss Duan, maybe the technique wasn't given for no reason, maybe the reason was outside of compensation for the Firebird. But according to Don Lai, this technique had indeed been prepared for Shuai, who would later become his student, so that Shuai could also learn the heavenly law. It was wild enough that Don Lai theories started to spread everywhere, but despite all these misunderstandings, Shuai finally accepted Don Lai's offer to become his student, because from the start Shuai could already feel that the grandfather in front of him was an immortal, or maybe Shuai thought if all of that was Senior Chen's plan for him, so in short Shuai became Don Lai's disciple. At this point, maybe everything that happened while Chan was in the warrior kingdom seemed to be mere coincidences, because the general of this manhwa was indeed a misunderstanding, so it's only natural that all of that was just a coincidence. But what if everything that happened was a plan from Boss Duan to help the Shuai? Because from the start Chin mission in the warrior kingdom seemed as if everything was connected from Chan meeting Shuai, then helping the Shuai family by Long Outyin and friends, until finally Shuai became Don Lai disciple. It's all in Shuai's favor, and the system working behind the scenes is Boss Duan. So is it possible that Boss Duan really intends to help Shuai with all these incidents? Maybe the Shuai character will later be strengthened for future plot developments and become a very important character like that, but that's it, just my personal